Hi, welcome to the St. Louis Goalkeeping Academy's video series on dealing with one-on-one breakaways. In this video series, we're going to talk to you about the technique needed for these situations. We're going to discuss the tactical application with regards to this technique, and we're going to also show you a series of training progressions that you can use to work this technique to help you with these situations. We're going to start just by talking about body shape. In terms of how you deal with these moments and how your body shape should be when you come out of the goal. The very first primary issue is that number one, when dealing with a one-on-one breakaway where an opponent is dribbling in unopposed with the ball at their feet in a controlled manner, you must come out of the goal. All right? Unless the angle is so tight, it's important, it's critical that you come out of the goal. And we'll discuss why and how in a little bit in terms of how fast you come out in these things. But for the moment, let's talk about body shape. When we come out of the goal, it's critical, depending on the spacing, that we maintain a good body shape that's low to the ground. As the space gets compacted, as we get into 12 yards, 10 yards, 8 yards, somewhere in that range, the tighter the space gets compressed, the more our body needs to get compressed to the ground. So when we're dealing with a good body shape, right, it should look something like this. We want our hands low, down around our ankles. We want the weight still forward on the front of our feet. We want our knees bent, our butt down, shoulders are up and still leaning us forward, head is up so we can see the ball, and we're there. We want to make sure these palms don't get turned in here, because now we're not maximizing the amount of space that we can cover. So we want the palms here, but it's important that the weight still be forward and the butt not be lower than the knees. So from a profile, right, we don't want to be down here like this. We still want to make sure that we're there. We're low enough just so that our fingertips are just above the ground, so that a ball can't go underneath there. We don't want to be up in there as a ball can roll underneath. The reason for this is because as the space gets compressed, the majority of balls are getting played low past us, either through a shot or through an attempted dribble, where an opponent tries to dribble, demonstrates a move, and then tries to either push to our right or push to our left. All right? Either way, though, the ball is generally below knee height. So it's critical that we're here, because as the space gets compressed, that means our time gets compressed. Space equals time. So the closer an opponent gets, the less time we're going to have to react. So it's important that we're there. Okay? Now, when dealing with this in terms of a training exercise, there's a training exercise that we do with our little guys here to help them learn how to move in that position. And it's important that when we move in this position, that the steps are small and the feet stay underneath our hips. We don't want to make big strides forward when we're coming out. We don't want to make big strides laterally when we have to shuffle right or left. We don't want it to get wider than our hips. All right? We never want our feet to cross in this moment, because the moment the feet cross that way or that way, now the balance is wrong. So if I have to change direction in a moment's notice, the balance is incorrect and I'm not able to do so effectively. So it's critical that the feet stay underneath your waist here, and when we make strides, they're little strides so that we can stop our feet anytime we need to. The bigger the stride that we take coming out, the longer it takes for us to get our feet completely set, stop, and balance to move our body. So the strides need to be small so that we can stop at a moment's notice in order to make a save. Okay? So in this next exercise, this first exercise we're going to show you with our two goalkeepers, we're going to just work through an idea where I'm going to be about 10 to 15 yards apart from them. They'll face me, and they're just going to shadow me. So they're going to get down in this position here, and if I move backwards, they'll move forwards with me. If I decide to move this direction, they'll shuffle this direction with me. If I decide to shuffle this direction, they'll shuffle this direction with me. All the while trying as best they can to maintain this good position here. Okay? We never want our feet too wide, so that way the ball can get in between. So we need to make sure the feet are close enough there so that should the ball hit us, All right, should the shot be played into us, that the legs are tight enough that the ball can get through. All right, it's tough. You'll notice that sometimes if you do this on your own, especially with younger players, that the more they move laterally or forward, the longer they have to maintain this position, the harder it is for them because of their quads. The stress is on their quads and it's uncomfortable, and they want to feel this need to rise, 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 rise. As a goalkeeping coach, you must be diligent to make sure that as they're moving through this process of this upcoming exercise, that they stay compacted, that they keep their butt down, they keep their shoulders down, and the hands stay here. That as they move, they don't start to rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, because it's much more of a comfortable feeling in terms of the stress put on their quad. So as you can see in that last exercise, both goalkeepers did a very good job of moving in small little increments, meanwhile keeping them bodies compacted, making sure that the fingers were low, the weight was forward on their toes, they weren't walking or moving flat-footed in any way, everything was forward, the balance was good. When they went laterally, the strides were small, they never took big strides, they never were out of balance or out of control physically in any way. All right, now, the next step, now that we know how to shape our body and move our body, the next question is, how fast do we need to move our body? Which brings us to our next progression. In terms of speed, how fast do I come out when an opponent has broken free and is coming in with the ball at their feet under control? The general rule of thumb is that you want to come out as fast as the opponent is coming in. It's important to remember that the goal that we defend is three-dimensional. Right, left, the space between us, between me and the goal mouth, all right, and the goal line. It's three spaces that we've got to defend. If an opponent is coming in very slow, we don't want to race out of the goal. Because if we go faster than they come in, then while our right and left sides, those dimensions, get narrowed down, right? The problem is the third dimension, the space between me and the goal, gets proportionately too big. And we said early in the video series that it's important that we do come out of the goal, and it is critical that we do, but the speed at which we come out is equally as important. If an opponent is coming in very fast and conversely we're coming out very slow, the third dimension between us and the goal is reduced, but the right and left dimensions are still too big. Right? So then it's just an easy pass for them, either right or left. They're not going to chip it over the top of us, but it's too easy for them just to play to our width. So we've got to come out, we've got to mirror the speed at which the opponent is coming in. Now, depending on the distance at which they break free, you might need to adjust that a little bit. And I'll give you a couple examples. If an opponent breaks free at 25 yards away from your goal, then you're generally not going to want to start out right away. Because even if they come and start, even if you mirror their speed, and they're dribbling in from 25 yards, by the time that they get to 18, 17, maybe 16 yards, they've had 8 yards worth of space to run into. You had 8 yards worth of space to move forward into. The gap between you and them is still 10 to 12 yards, and you're giving up 8 to 9 yards behind you in your third dimension. It's still too easy of a chip to make. So if an opponent starts really far outside of your 18, you're going to want to make that approach slower. Now you can either hold the timing of your approach, meaning that you don't start right away, or you can start to come out of your goal right away, but the speed at which you use is actually slower than what the opponent is coming in. Right? You would do that roughly until about 18 yards or so. At about the 18-yard mark, now it's critical that you start to match the speeds. The converse of that is a little different. If an opponent breaks free of your back four on the dribble, and let's say he's 8 yards away from your goal, then it's going to be critical that the speed at which you move out is actually faster than the speed that he is coming in. You have to do it in control, you have to do it in small strides, but you've got to do it fast. Otherwise, the right and left relationships, all right, the right and left to your posts are still going to be too big. So we've got to make sure that we're protecting those dimensions. But because he's starting so close to your goal, the speed at which you come out initially has got to be faster than the speed at which he's coming in. So in the next exercise we're going to set up for our goalkeepers, we're going to try to help them learn how to match speeds or mirror speeds to come out in a controlled way, but to come out at the same speed that the opponent is coming in. So we've set up an exercise here where we're going to have one goalkeeper who will start down on the goal line. We'll have a ball that's 9 yards off the goal line, and we'll have another goalkeeper who's going to play the role of the forward. That forward will start about 18 at the 18-yard mark there, which is again 9 yards from where the ball is located. We'll have two cones, one on each side of the ball, and the cone on each side of the ball, cone will be set back 2 yards. All right, the idea of this drill, the working goalkeeper, the forward, the goalkeeper who's playing the role of the forward, will come out in a controlled manner, all right, low like this, as will the working goalkeeper. But the forward, the goalkeeper who's playing the role of the forward, will control the speed. That goalkeeper can approach the ball as fast or as slow as they would like. They can change speeds during the middle of it. They can stop during the middle of it. The only thing that they cannot do is go backwards. All right, that's the only rule. They cannot go backwards. They have to go forwards. They can stop at any time. They can go faster. They can speed up. They can do whatever they need to do. The working goalkeeper over here at this cone on the goal line is going to be responsible for matching the speed of the forward. If the forward speeds up, the working goalkeeper has to speed up. If the forward slows down, working goalkeeper has to slow down. If the forward decides to stop, then the goalkeeper has to stop. So it's going to mirror the behavior of the forward. The two cones that are set 2 yards off of each side of the ball, those are going to be their indicators to stop dead in the water. When they get to those cones, they're going to stop and they're going to set. If the drill is done correctly, then the working goalkeeper will reach her cone. At the same time, the forward will reach her cone. Okay? If it's done correctly. And the idea being, the reason we're stopping them 2 yards off the ball is because at that distance, once you've achieved that distance, then you just want to stop yourself. All right? The shooting space has been compressed too tight. There's no room for the forward to shoot the ball, and now they're going to be forced to dribble around you, which is ideally the situation that you want to try to put yourself in. Every single time that you deal with a one-on-one breakaway, the idea of the moment, the goal of the moment, is to get the forward into such a compressed space that they're forced to dribble around you. Now the odds become in your favor if you know how to execute it correctly. It's not to say you're going to save everyone, but you'll save the large majority of them if done correctly. So let's see how the two girls deal with this exercise. We'll have one goalkeeper. We'll work 5 rounds as the working goalkeeper, and then we'll switch them back and forth where the other goalkeeper will come in and they'll rotate responsibilities. Good. 1. Whenever you're ready, Paige, you can begin. Good. Again. Okay. 2. One more. Keep it low. Keep it low, guys. Yep. Move it. Good. Well done. Like that. Like it a lot. Go. Yep. Good. Rush. Okay. Switch it around. Now, Belle, you're controlling the speed in this one, okay? However fast or slow you want to go, you can mix it up, you can stop. Okay, that's 1. Make sure, Belle, if you go fast, keep your strides small. Don't let those strides get elongated. Just turn your feet over quickly. Make sure, Belle, that you keep your weight forward on those toes. Let the weight come to those. Low. Good, that's 2. Good, press. Okay, so now that we've covered how to move in terms of your body shape, and we've covered how fast to move in terms of how fast you're coming out of the goal, now we've got to deal with what do we do if we've accomplished our goal and we've got that forward in that compressed space, and now they're forced to dribble around us. Now we've got to figure out what kind of technique are we going to use, or how are we going to ask our body to get down to the ground once that forward does decide to dribble around us. The technique we're going to use under most circumstances, if the ball, they try to dribble around us in a tight space, is called a collapse dive. It's not to say it's going to be used every time. If the forward decides to push wide of us, sometimes we'll actually have to step with the near foot as opposed to kick out, but we'll talk about the differences. All right? In terms of a collapse dive, there are 3 general types of dives. All right? We talked about in a different video series, we talked about a forward dive where the ball is shot into or played in this tight space in here. We receive it and we're going forward with the ball held firmly to us. We've talked about extended dives where the ball is out at the widths, all right, at a decent width, where we actually have to step in with the near foot and push off and drive with the top leg across us and extend our body out. The third type of dive is actually what's called a collapse dive, where the ball isn't wide enough to step in with the near foot, right? Otherwise we kill the spacing. We make the space too tight between our body and the ball, but the ball isn't close enough to us where we can receive it at a forward dive. So it's in between those 2 spaces, somewhere out in here maybe, where it's there. I don't want to step into this ball, because if I step into this ball, now I've got no space between my foot and the ball to get my body down into, to get my arms, to get my hips, to get my shoulders. Everything for me is too tight there. All right, but it's definitely too wide to receive as a forward dive. So I've got to use something called the collapse dive. Now, a collapse dive, instead of stepping into it like an extended dive, I actually take the near foot and I kick it out away from me. The reason being that I've got to make enough space between my foot, my outer foot, my closest foot, and the ball. I've got to create enough space to get my entire length of my body down into that space. If my leg here is taking up all of this space, there's no room for my hip, my side, my shoulders, and extended arms to get down into it. So I've got to figure out a way to create that space so it makes a natural distance for my body. The way we're going to do that is by actually taking this inside leg and getting it out of the way. So from there, I go there, across my body, and the foot actually gets lifted up. Now I'll be down in this position, but the foot actually would get picked up and kicked across the front of my back foot. You don't want to come behind the back foot. It gets played across the front. And in that motion, it's got to be fast, it's got to be with speed, it's got to be with power. At the same time, that motion is happening there. My hands from here will be driving to the ball. So my hands, and they're not going to make this motion. It's what we like to call a windshield wiper motion here. Where the hands, instead of this, because this takes an extraordinary amount of time and it creates a big gap under me there, the hands from here will just get pushed out. So from there, as I'm kicking out, at the same time that's happening, I'll push out, right, extend my arms, attack the ball with my hands and arms. Top hand will get right on top of the ball, palm right on the apex of the ball there. Low hand, it's placed right behind the ball, and the ball gets held to the ground. You never want to pick this ball up off the ground. The ground acts as a third hand. Why would you ever want to lift the ball and just work with 2 hands when you can pin it to the ground using the ground as your third hand? You got more control, you got more strength, you got more stability. So from here, in this position, when it's time to go, the weight's forward on my feet, I'm there, and it's there. Now you're going to notice a couple things. You're going to notice that my head is not up here. I'm not up on my elbow in any way, all right, with a tall profile. This is very dangerous for me, physically, as players are looking, they can kick me, they can hit me with their knee, all right. Here, I'm safe for the most part. My head is down behind the ball, all right, my arms are extended, the ball is held to the floor, and I'm here. I do not want to take this ball and bring it into here. This is extremely dangerous. because now the ball is right next to my face. It's right next to my body. And a forward, in this moment, a forward is always going to be looking to kick it once, twice, depending on how bad the refereeing is, maybe 3 times. I do not want to bring this ball into here with a forward still trying to dislodge the ball from me right next to my face. All right? I lose strength, I lose stability. Most of all, I put myself in a position to go to the hospital. So there, I'm okay. Head down behind the ball, my forearms here are protecting my face. Right? Even if a foot tries to come through, I'm still okay because my distance is good. Okay? So, in this next training exercise that we're going to use, the next progression of drills, we're going to take our 2 goalkeepers and we're going to play a game that we like to call shadows. So, we'll have 2 balls, all right, 1 on each side. We'll have the 2 goalkeepers are going to face each other. Each goalkeeper will be back behind the ball by about 1 yard. All right? The ball will be about 1.5 yards, 1 ball 1.5 yards to each side of the goalkeeper. One goalkeeper is going to be responsible for deciding which ball to go down to. So both goalkeepers will start in a set position here. One goalkeeper is the decision maker, is responsible for which ball they're going to collapse down to. The other goalkeeper's responsibility is to get down to that same ball just as quick as the deciding goalkeeper. From there, they get back up just as quick, back to their feet here, and then the decision-making goalkeeper can make a new choice. Now they can go to the same ball they just went to, or they can go to the opposite ball. It's up to the deciding goalkeeper. The key is twofold. The key is they've got to get down correctly, getting that inside foot out of the way, driving their hands and arms to the ball, pinning it to the ground, making sure their head is down behind the ball. They're not pulling the ball in. The ball is stable and held. The second responsibility is to get back to their feet as quickly as they can. This is the toughest part because as a goalkeeping coach, players are really focused on trying to get low as quickly as they can. They're competing against their opponent there, their goalkeeper. All right, so they're trying to get down as quickly as they can, back up as quickly as they can, and sometimes they fail to get back to their feet. You've really got to be diligent in making sure that when they come back up, they don't just get to their knees. So they'll start from here, they'll go there, it is back to here, and now they can make a new decision. As soon as they get to there, they can decide to go either back to the same ball or over to the next ball. They'll do this consecutively for anywhere between 30 and 45 seconds. The 2 girls we have here are pretty high end, although the one's a bit younger, that's okay. She just turned 13, the other one is 17. But the young one has been in the program long enough at a high enough level that she can do 45 seconds. So we'll do 45 seconds here. If you're dealing with younger kids, somewhere between the ages of maybe 10, 12, normal goalkeepers at 13, maybe it's better to keep it at 30 seconds. So we'll give them 45 seconds of good solid work, and then we'll rest it, and then we'll change the responsibility where the goalkeeper who was making the decisions in the first round is now the follower in the second round.
Set up, ready, begin. Good, here we go, up and down, up and down, up and down. Good, push it, good, yeah, push yourself, good, yeah. Good, good. You can change directions anytime. Good, perfect. Keep going, keep going, keep going. It's good, come on, come on, come on. Good, yep, up, low, drive the hands. There you go, drive your hands. There you go, come on, come on. Drive your hands, good, good. Yep, keep going, yep. Good, here we go, come on, come on, come on, come on. You guys are almost home, you guys are almost home. Keep going, yep, good. Come on, come on, come on, good. There you go, yep, come on, keep working, keep working. Almost there, get up, Belle, get up to those feet, Belle. Here we go. Good, keep low, stay low. One more, rest. Good. Go, good, yep, up you go, good, good, up you go, good, good, yep, good, up you go. Good, yep, really push those hands, push them hard, good, love that. Yep, good, good, well done. Good, good, good. There you go. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Here we go. Good. I'll move this ball in. Yeah. Keep going. Yeah. Go. Good. There we go. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. 5 more seconds. Give me 5 more seconds. Good. Yep. Keep going. Keep going. Push. 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 Rest. Okay. So now in this next segment, now that we figured out how to move, how fast to move, and we figured out how to get down correctly, now we've got to take these principles and put them all together.
So the next exercise we're going to do, the next stage of the progression, is going to be an exercise where the goalkeepers will work one after the other. And they're going to try to take all these concepts and start to weave them together. So the starting goalkeeper will start back there. They'll be back about 8 yards or so, and they're just going to start from a set position. I'll say go, I'll cue them with a verbal cue to go. They're going to come forward as fast as they can, but still under balance, which means they're not taking big strides at all. They're maintaining a good set body position, but they're still moving quickly. They're going to get to the red cone, and again, they're going to just sit still. They're going to skid to this cone, and from here, it's just going to be set, right? Weight forward, body shape correct. And we'll talk about why we keep holding them back a couple yards later on down the line. In the next couple of progressions, we'll start to discuss that idea. But they're going to set. As soon as they get set, all I'm going to do, from here the cues are visual. Just like in a game, the cues aren't verbal. Nobody's there to tell you when to go or not to go. The goalkeeper is just processing the information that his eyes are giving him. So as soon as the goalkeeper gets set, all I'm going to do is either lift my right foot or my left foot. I'm just going to lift it off the ground. Whichever foot I lift off the ground, that goalkeeper now is going to collapse down to the ball that's on that side as quickly as they can. Once they get there, they'll just stay down there, they'll check everything, make sure the hands are in a good place, make sure the body's lined up, the arms are out of the way, the ball's head down to the ground, all those things that they have on their checklist in order to do it correctly. All right? So we'll run through each of them. We'll do about 4 of the goalkeepers, and we'll check their progress and see how they're doing at this progression.
Last one for you, Mo. Ready? Go. Give me.
Okay, now, the next step of our progression, the last 2 progressions we've done just with balls that are static, they're just stationary on the ground, in both the last 2 exercises. Now, the next stage of this progression, we want to take a ball, we want to start to put it in motion a little bit, and we want to start to use a live forward a little bit. So in this next progression, we'll have one working goalkeeper, and the other goalkeeper, the helping goalkeeper, is going to play the role of a forward. In this particular progression, the working goalkeeper will get down in the set position. The forward will be about 2 to 3 yards in front of them with the ball at their feet. And then in this one, everything's going to go to the goalkeeper's right side. We're just going to work to the right side. The working goalkeeper already knows that, but we're just training the muscle memory, training the habits, training the timing, things like this. The working forward will have a ball at their feet, and they're just going to push past the working goalkeeper as if they were dribbling by him. In this stage of the progression, in this particular progression, there's no moves allowed. They're just kind of pushing past them and starting to run past them a little bit, where the working goalkeeper can just time it, collapse down, use their good technique in terms of their collapse dive, pin the ball to the ground, at the same time getting used to the forward, kind of running past them, seeing feet coming close to their face, running past their head, things like that. It's just done. We'll do 5 or 6, we'll do 6 with each goalkeeper going to their right, and then we'll do 6 with each goalkeeper going to their left, which is just in a very controlled manner. After that, the next progression is we'll allow forwards, the working forward, to start to use a move. So in this next progression, we're going to allow the forward, again, going just to the right side only, but we'll allow the forward to use some kind of deception in order to try to affect the goalkeeper's timing or their reading of the situation. The move can be whatever the working forward chooses it to be, but the one stipulation is that it needs to be realistic. It can't be something like a full 360 on the ball or a rainbow or something of that nature. It's got to be a move that's realistic for the situation given a game. Okay, so we'll do 5 to the working goalkeepers right, and 5 to the working goalkeepers left, and then again we'll change responsibilities.
Got soon too?
Set it down, open it up. Ready? Yep. Good. Yep. He's got some more so now. Make sure you push the positive too. Make sure this one's positive. Yep. Dang. Ready? Or maybe not. Sorry about something. Good. 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 Side. Okay, so now in this next progression,
we're going to start to apply a moving ball with a moving forward. The idea, we're going to work in the grid here, and the grid size can vary depending on how many players you have. This particular grid, we're going to go about a 10 by 10. We'll have one goalkeeper who's working as the helping goalkeeper, playing the role of the forward with the ball at their feet. The other goalkeeper will work in the grid as the working goalkeeper. The objective is just to try to help the working goalkeeper start to deal with movement, both left and right, working on their approach, and really two particular issues. Number one, setting up the distance. In the progressions that we've had up to now, you've seen that we've always stopped the working goalkeeper about 2 yards from the ball. Now the reason for that is pretty much so that they don't close down their space too much. The idea being that you don't want to get too close to the forward with the ball, because you get too close, you run out of space. And if you run out of space, it kills your time. Space is always going to equal time in goalkeeping. So if your space between you and the opponent is too compacted, you're not going to have enough time to collapse down and pull the ball off their foot. Conversely, if the space is too big from your opponent, then there's the opportunity for a shot, and the shot angle becomes extended. So you're trying to really help them find the right spacing between themselves and the opponent to stop their feet. The other issue is exactly that, is stopping their feet. We really want, in this exercise, we want to help them working on getting set. When the time comes to collapse down either left or right, we really want to make sure that our feet are set and balanced. We don't want to be stepping forward with either foot towards the opponent. We want to make sure that our base is solid, our body balance is stable, so we're able to go whichever way the forward deems that we need to go. The third issue that we're going to deal with here in this setup is that the goalkeeper never ever decides when it's time to go down. The goalkeeper is just going to stay there in a balanced position. They're going to kind of just be relaxed, and they're going to allow the forward to determine when they're going to go down. The goalkeeper decides to go down early, either right or left, it makes it extremely easy for the forward just to go the opposite way. And the higher levels that you go to, it becomes easier and easier and easier for the forward to do this. So we're going to really force the working goalkeeper now to be patient to the point where they're going to force the forward to make a move first. We always want to make sure the forward makes the decision first, whether they decide to go right or whether they decide to go left. And then upon seeing that, then the working goalkeeper is going to go down. This exercise can be expanded depending on how many players you have. It's not a problem. You could do this exercise with 10 players if you wanted to. You just expand the grid out, and you say 7 of the goalkeepers are forwards, 3 of them are working goalkeepers, and they just dribble within the box. From the forward's objective, they should be trying to accomplish it at game speed, and they should be allowed to be able to make moves. We're going to try to make this as game-like as possible in the confrontation moment. We'll work for 45 seconds, and then we'll switch roles.
Back. Yep. Yeah, good. Well done. Make sure that ball stays moving. Here we go. Space. Tight. There you go. Good. Back up. Again. Take good space. There we go. It's tight. You have to back it up a shade. There you go. That's fine. Just what it is. Make sure you don't get that tight. Back it up. Yep. Good. Well done. Go. Yep. Good, that's okay. Back up. All right. One more. Good, excellent. Go, go, go. All right, now,
And we're going to take this now to our next progression, which is generally our final progression, where we start to expand it out to a game size spacing and a much more of a realistic situation. So what we're going to do is we're going to have one working goalkeeper and we'll have one helping goalkeeper. The helping goalkeeper will again play the role of the forward, but now they're going to come in for about 19, 20 yards. We're going to have two red cones that will be halfway between the goal and the starting point for the forward, which is going to kind of help the working goalkeeper remember that the point of confrontation between themselves and the forward should come, if you're mirroring the speed correctly, the point of confrontation could be somewhere around that cone line that's equidistant between the starting position of the goalkeeper and the starting position of the forward. Again, in this particular progression, we're not going to allow for any shots. You can do an extra progression where the forward is allowed to shoot and or dribble. In this progression, we're just going to force the forward to dribble to help the goalkeeper work on getting down in those moments. In the subsequent progression, then you can allow the forward to shoot if they deem it necessary, and we'll talk about the visual cues that a goalkeeper should look for when dealing with that. But for this particular progression, we're just going to do dribbling. Go. Come on. Come on. Ronnie? Right. If I play the big little lateral, shuffle, take that quick shuffle and drive in.
Set sooner or not?
What's that?
Should I get set sooner?
Maybe a little bit. Do it again. Sorry. So in the next progression, you can start to add in some shooting to the element, to the progression. A couple things when dealing with shots. There's a space that becomes very dangerous for goalkeepers. As we said earlier in the videos, the goal of the working goalkeeper is to always try to get the forward into a space that's so compacted that they're forced to dribble around us. Sometimes it's just not realistic though. There are times when a forward, especially if it's an intelligent forward, is going to recognize that the more compact the space gets, the less likely it is for him that he's going to find success. They understand that, and so they're going to try to make sure that they release the ball before they're into a space that the goalkeeper can affect. So the danger area for us as goalkeepers is somewhere between, I would say, 6 yards and maybe 8 to 9 yards, about a 3-yard window there where it's very dangerous for us because it's not close enough for us to collapse down and attack a ball, drive through a ball at their feet, but it's far enough that they could shoot, but it's so close that the shot is going to happen very quickly, and it's going to be, the save is going to be very reaction oriented, and they're not so far away that it's easy for us to set our feet and we feel like we got a lot of time to deal with the shot. It's in that space that's between 6 and 9, 6 and 10 yards away that for us as goalkeepers is a very, very, very dangerous space. So you got to look for visual clues. Your eyes are always working in these moments. They're giving the brain information, and there's some basic physical clues that you should be looking for that are signs that the forward is going to maybe hit the shot as opposed to keep dribbling into you. One of those clues, number one, is that they'll start to pick their head up. As they're looking at the ball, they're going to start to look up to check and see what the angle looks like. Where are you in relation to the angle of the goal? Where are they on that line? How much space do they have right or left? And they'll be looking into that third dimension over the top sometimes, depending on how far away from the goal they are. So they'll look up, and you'll actively see them look up and start to size up spacing. That's your first indicator. The second indicator, depending on the speed at which they're coming in, is you'll notice there'll be a noticeable change in the speed at which they're running. They're coming in very quick because they're trying to create space or a buffer between them and the back four defensemen, and all of a sudden that speed gets slowed down dramatically. That's an indicator that a shot's about to happen. The reason they're reducing that speed is because they're trying to balance their body. They don't want to hit this ball at full stride. They kind of want to make sure everything's balanced, the strides are right, all that stuff, so they can hit a quality shot. The third indicator in that is that there'll be generally a bigger step forward. The stride forward will be larger than their natural running gait. When we say running gait, we mean the stride of their natural run. There'll be a moment where that stride starts to lengthen out just a little bit, and if you really pay attention, you notice it. It's noticeable. It's small, but it's noticeable that that stride looks a little bigger than the other 7 or 8 strides they just took to get in here. Those are generally 3 good indicators, physical indicators that a shot is about to happen. If you see any of those indicators, you recognize any of those indicators for what they are, it's critical that regardless of how far away from the opponent you are, that you need to stop your feet immediately. Stop your feet. If they decide not to shoot and they take another touch forward, then you can release again and start to come forward and cut out some more space. But if you decide, if you see an indicator, you don't get your feet stopped, you're striding, you're taking a step 1 foot or the other, now the balance is off, and that shot gets hit, it's going to be very, very difficult to make a save unless they just kind of hit you with the ball. So those are 3 indicators that you should look for. Again, you can utilize that in a separate progression where a forward is allowed to shoot and or dribble, and the goalkeepers have to start picking that up. So these are the basic components of dealing with one-on-one breakaways. Obviously, each situation is distinct and unto itself. And so every single rule might not apply given a particular situation, depending on angles that they're coming in, stuff like that. But feel free, you can visit our website, www.stlouisgoalkeepingacademy.com. If you have any questions, feel free to email us, and we'll be more than happy to try to answer it. So thank you for watching our video on tips on 1v1 goalkeeping here at the St. Louis Goalkeeping Academy, where today's students are tomorrow's stars.